And we are live on this, the 20th episode of the Qué Pasó Podcast, season N. How's it going, guys?
Fine. I'm Eduardo.
I'm Ozzy. I'm very happy to be here once again. And the last time of the year, apparently.
Yeah, this time you didn't get locked out of your house.
It was funny because I have a problem with my keys. Like, two of them are very similar in size, and I confuse them all the time.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And how are you doing, Eduardo?
Oh, well, I can feel the winds of changing right now here in Mexico. It's like having Klaus Meine from Scorpions singing to me 24/7 winds of change here in my room or in my office, in my car, every single time. Just today, our druid in chief presided over a ritual to ask for permission to Mother Earth to build the Mayan train. The Mayan train is a train railroad circuit that will go all around the Yucatan Peninsula. So, where the Mayans used to live, and that will connect all the region. I mean, no, he didn't do environmental impact study. He didn't do, a commercial viability study. He didn't do anything, but he asked for permission to Mother Earth.
I figured that he would actually kind of ask to, like, test Catlipolca or something like that.
Oh, no. These guys will be like, Kukulkan or some other gods. It's a different religion.
Did he have robes and everything, like weird clothing?
They dress pretty much like the Aztecs. So.
Oh my god! Listen, like, my prime minister likes to dress up, so coming from the guy who's kind of the expert, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you did. I mean, speaking about your prime minister, it just amazes me that he likes to play dress up, and he's like the best actor in Canada at the moment.
He even plays an heterosexual man.
Nothing is gonna beat his Bollywood impression while visiting India.
Oh, don't even tell me about that one. We're still in trouble with that. Like, we've literally angered India. You know, that's like 1 billion really upset people at us.
I think that the problem there is just that, okay, if you want to go play dress up as an Indian, then go for it. I mean, to respect their culture. But did you watch a fucking Bollywood film before going there?
Well, the best part was that actually there's a huge scandal about this, but he invited, I think I've mentioned this on previous episodes, but one of the guests that was invited to the Prime Minister's events was a former Sikh militant nationalist who had attempted to assassinate an Indian cabinet minister in British Columbia I think it was in the 80s, Jasper Atwal. He tried to kill like this Indian minister, and the government decided it was okay to invite him to India to a government function with the prime minister, despite the fact he tried to murder a minister of that very same country that he was visiting. And the RCMP and their security detail, the RCMP is the Royal Canadian National Mounted Police. They're our federal police. The Mounties.
Yeah.
They didn't actually realize this. They knew who he was. They had to file on him, but they called the threat analysis guy or something like that, and the guy was on vacation. So no one else was there to fill in for some reason, despite for this very important, international trip. So the terrorist gets to go hang out with the prime minister in India, and the Indian media caught onto it and freaked out. As you know, you would. It's like I don't know. Having Hitler visit Israel. Well, maybe not that bad. But it's just like it's kind of the same thing. It just outraged a lot of people because India does not like Sikh Punjabi nationalists along the lines of Israel really doesn't like Nazis, and rightfully so.
Okay.
So it ended up getting so bad that Trudeau's security advisor, if I'm remembering this remembering this right, I should say, said that this was a setup from the Indian government. Like they were trying to blunder his trip, despite the fact that the prime minister essentially spent like most of the time traveling around India with his family, like the Mary Saib. It was crazy, but I mean, like anyway, AMLO, dressing up like I don't know a Mayan high priest is not a good
Oh,
idea.
he didn't. He used just some like a funny hat and things like that.
Do you have the sash on at least?
Well, speaking about funny things, so I don't know if you guys, I told you guys the last time that that Chile didn't want to sign the Pact of Marrakesh in concern about immigration and of the UN.
Yeah.
We're still living a leftist meltdown over this, and I don't know. It just feels so weird because they're treating this as a statement of the government that they're not going to allow anyone in, when it's not that. In fact, the government has to make it clear like 10 times. No, what we're doing exactly is that we are the ones who are going to control our migration process, not the UN. And it also makes me laugh that people try to find try to equate this with racism. And it's funny because most leftists here don't understand what the pact really is.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a really how could I put it? The implications of that pact are really really how would you say, can be dangerous. I mean, it erodes it even erodes freedom of speech, because you can now it suggests the people, the countries that accept this arrangement, to prosecute people that speak ill about the migrants. I know, but going back to this Marrakech agreement, the UN Migration Compact, this week we have as a big development in France about this. Some officers of the French army petitioned Macron not to sign this pact.
Oh yes, I
did.
read it. They wrote a letter and saying that please don't sign the pact. And I think that later they were accusing those guys of treason.
Oh my god.
But, I just can't just sit there and say like, what? I mean, look, these guys are the ones who defend your borders. These are the guys who protect the integrity of your nation.
Well,
and
they don't now because the EU has the Schengen Agreement, so there is no border security.
Well, and that thing of the EU army, which actually makes me laugh. Like they want to create an EU army, and one of the arguments is that if they had something like that before World War II, they could have been avoided or something. But then I was thinking, hold on a second. You know who was trying to create a pan-European army?
Adolf Hitler?
Nazi Germany. I mean, hello.
We're really dropping those references tonight, aren't we? I started it, and now.
But just to remind of some things, back in World War II, one of the divisions sent to fight for Germany in Russia was raised or levied with volunteers from Spain, the Blue Division.
Yes.
They also raised an Indian division too, actually.
Really?
Yeah. They had it conquered when they had from captured POWs from the British Indian Army. Some of them actually joined. They were combined with like the the Arab division. It was kind of weird. They were in the Waffen SS.
I see. I see. Also, I've seen the postcards about this division composed by Arabs.
There was also like a Muslim division, the Hanshar division. It was like, I think, the 13th Mountain Division of the SS, and it was actually just interesting because I have a book that speaks about SS combat formations, and it speaks that the Hanshar fought bravely against the Serbians, who they were traditional enemies. I must think I'm wrong. I think it was they fought against the Serbians and the Yugoslav partisans with great courage, but then the Russians came pouring in, and they just start running. they were more scared of the Russians than they were of other Slavs.
Let me share this. Can I share my screen with you guys?
Sure.
Are you seeing it?
No.
This is what that usually happens.
There we go.
Okay. Ofrecen a la madre tierra aguardiente, pollo, tortillas para.
He offered a tortilla.
Tortillas, chicken, and some strong liquor for the.
That's the most racist thing I have ever seen. Let's just give the indigenous people liquor because that's a good idea. That works so well.
It's to Mother Earth. This is not for human consumption.
No, I know, but I mean, it still sounds kind of like he's trying to take advantage of her. You know, he's always drunk.
Is that a porn scene?
Do you think these people didn't knew how to get drunk before the Spaniards? Because
that's racist.
But I mean, like he's going up to Mother Earth, and he's like, "Hey, lady, hey, mama, you want to let me build through your jungle? Here, have the strong liquor and eat this chicken. You'll be fine."
Unos taquitos y un aguardiente, unos taquitos de pollo y un aguardiente.
That is it's so stupid.
It was
also I'm just like thinking, why do you do this? I mean, okay, I get it. I mean, this is a ritual for your the pueblos originarios. It's like a patrimony of your culture and stuff. But I mean, come on. I mean, this would be almost as if before we build something here in Chile, we just like start like I don't know, like racing, like fighting like the Mapuches did, or I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like so out of place. And then I'm thinking, oh, of course, it's AMLO.
Yeah, but I mean, like this is just ridiculous. And I mean, like, are the environmentalists complaining? I mean, even are the Zapatistas even saying anything? Usually they're kind of mouthy.
The Zapatistas, they've been saying about AMLO and his government is that there will be no change at all. This will be just another government of the same people as always. But I think this in specific, this Mayan train is not going to cross their lands.
The Zapatistas, are they actually doing something?
Nah. So I think they've been kind of quiet since Subcomandante Marcos retired. Or I think he retired.
They're sitting back.
Because I mean, I've read some of them, and I don't know. I have like I kind of like that character, Subcomandante Marcos. But the thing I really don't like is the fact that these guys are not doing nothing. I mean, what are they doing? I mean, I haven't heard. I mean, the only time I heard about the Zapatistas was the last time when I watched a documentary of some guys who actually went down there to Chiapas.
Yeah.
And they wanted to ask some questions to some of the guerrilleros. And they say, first of all, we have to read the questions. And they say, okay, you can ask this and this. But also, what makes me laugh is that they claim to fight for the indigenous Maya population, but their leaders are not Mayans.
Yeah, their leaders are white, obviously.
Yeah, that's racist. Do you think that the Mayans can't defend themselves?
I mean, they've been fighting the government in a way or another since the times of the Spaniards all the way to the 30s in Mexico of the 20th century, 1930.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like the Indian Wars against the in the United States that they ended at the end of the 19th century, but they keep going with in a lower scale in some really in small places in throughout some years to come. I mean, Mexico was involved in these Indian wars because you know what the tribes of northern Mexico, southern United States did to the first missionaries that went there to preach the word of the Lord and all.
What they did?
They tied them to posts and use them as a target practice with their bows and arrows.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's actually amazing. I'm reading some of the things that the subcomandante Marcos del SLN believes actually, and he believed in his essays that neoliberalism and globalization constituted the fourth world war, and that he believed that the Cold War was the third World War.
Damn it,
and, for example, well, he says that neoliberalism, and he says that the entirety of the world. He said, for example, here, like at least he's not one of those crazy guys who believe that Europe was built on the riches of Africa. He says all cultures forged by nations, the noble indigenous past of America, the brilliant civilization of Europe, the wise history of Asian nations, and the ancestral wealth of Africa and Oceania are corroded by the American way of life. In this way, neoliberalism imposes the destruction of nations and groups of nations in order to reconstruct them according to a single model. This is a planetary war of the worst and cruelest kind, waged against humanity. Wait a second. This sounds like a culture war, basically.
Yeah, it's this is a big narrative that has been playing here in Mexico, that the Americans are eroding every other culture with their own. Like, I don't. But but the same people say on the other hand, Americans have no culture. America is a country without a culture. How can you be dominating the culture wars if you are from a country that allegedly has no culture?
Hey, listen, Canada is the first post-national country according to Justin Trudeau. He literally said we no longer have an identity. That we're essentially like a blank, naked slate.
You remember Thomas, this guy from Sweden that came with us for an episode? Well, he told me that their prime minister also told that there was no such thing as a Swedish culture.
Yeah, really? My God.
I mean, what about the Vikings? The Vikings, man. They have their culture, as primitive and rudimentary as it was, but
it's not PC culture. That's the thing.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. Your gods are gonna grant you eternal humping and drinking if you kill some people on the name of Yes.
If you die with a weapon in your hand.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Almost as if there's one Abrahamic religion out there that has the same.
Now, guys, let's not get kicked off YouTube.
Oh yeah.
They're really sensitive about that.
Sorry, good overlords.
I'm sure the Vikings were a religion of peace.
Yeah.
Just
sure they in the name of peace.
It's just those berserkers were not. They didn't speak for Nordic paganism.
And it's funny that there's still neo-pagans. For example, for those of you who don't know, I've been delving into TikTok lately, This new
Oh
app.
God.
Look, it's like Vine mixed with Musically, but I think it has the better memes. Now the thing is that there's a lot of Wait a sec.
I'm also watching Cruises. I'm trying to keep up on Cruz Azul playing against Club America.
Okay, so and for example, one of the funniest thing I've seen is that there's a lot of pagans. There's a lot of guys with Thor hammers and Odin tattoos,
Oh my
and,
God.
and I was just thinking like, okay, we need a fucking crusade right here, right now.
Yeah,
Bring-
here in Mexico, for example, among metalheads, Viking metal is really popular. And I remember this time I went to see a Monamart. Everybody with shirts with Thor hammer or references to Valhalla and everything.
Somebody then named their kid like Thor Rodriguez.
Oh,
It's really possible that it already happened.
I believe that actually, or like Odin Sanchez.
I mean, there's people naming their kids after famous footballers like Iker Zinedine Cristiano Garcia.
They name people after that here. Like, I mean, there's kids here named like Justin Trudeau, like Benoit or something like that. It's kind of strange.
It's really probably that there's a kid named Justin Trudeau something.
There actually is. There was a family from Syria that named their kid Justin Trudeau. And it was like Justin Trudeau, like Abdul Qadir or something like that. I was just like, oh, that's nice. But by the way, guys, cruising through the Twitter recently,
Yep.
as this is kind of like a kind of a laid back kind of episode. But by the way, I have to do the mandatory. Most of the things we say in here, if they sound offensive, we're probably being funny. So please don't sue us.
Yeah.
We're literally not evil. We're just having fun because
We're
this is not a serious podcast. Yeah, like in case I ever get into the political world, I'm seriously not trying to do anything bad. I'm just joking around.
Yeah.
But this is the best thing. There's this woman on Twitter named Clara Sorrenti, and she's
how? No, Sorrenti. Oh yeah. Oh my god.
yeah, she is. She's a organizer for the Young Communist League of Ontario.
That sounds almost like a meme, but okay.
And she's also on the Communist Current, which is apparently has a YouTube channel. Oh my god, that's glorious.
Someday we have to just make a response. It's the day we just pick up on one of the videos.
We do, but I mean, like it says they want full equality and socialism. Is that before or after they kill the Uyghurs? Because communists really don't seem to like Muslims.
This is the kind of people, and I see because in leftist circle they call these communists tankies. That like
what is a tanky?
Look, I don't understand fully the context because when I asked, no one actually wanted to give me a good definition. But these are like hardline communists who love the Soviet Union. I think that's a tanky.
Oh God, guys! I'm actually on Clara Sorrenti's Twitter, and she has a poll that says, "Who do you trust more, Donald Trump or Kim Jong Un?"
How do you
Kim Jong Un is winning?
How?
I don't know. I don't know. She keeps calling everyone fascists, and
this is the more I keep seeing it, I still believe it could be like a troll account.
She's not. She's an actual communist. She ran for elections last year.
I mean, that's the problem. It's just so obvious.
I can't believe that My God, it has to be a meme, but it can't be. It's legitimate. She keeps saying like Ho Chi Minh was an incredible communist and revolutionary. Oh God. Winston Churchill was evil. Somebody said I
Uh,
should go to Venezuela.
I mean,
Um,
I will pay her a ticket. I will give her a ticket. I will swap Caleb for her.
she's actually going. She's actually got a GoFundMe up and going, but I'm not going to give her money because she'll just spend it on communism.
Don't you just love this? Don't you just love that communists or even socialists today like to indulge themselves on the pleasures of the capitalist society?
Well, because they need. Yeah, they do. It's hilarious. But the thing is about communism is that I don't really think they believe in most of it. Like, I mean, if the revolution were to actually come, they would crumble up and shrivel away because these people are just larpers. I mean, they're not really going to put in the effort. They're not going to, stand side to side with the proletariat and fight. They're just going to run around and, oh, look at me, I'm making a difference. Look, I'm shouting about anti-racism even though I'm getting money from China. China's not racist and Cuba's a workers' paradise. And I mean, listen, anyone who can ideologically say that Nicolas Maduro is doing nothing wrong is either blind or mentally ill. It's until victory always. Oh God, hasta la victoria siempre.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something, guys? That I just hate this thing about communists, but socialists. I mean, they like to talk about this revolution they're saying that is going to come, but first of all, for the revolution, you need first of all, you're talking about a global revolution against who? And
Communists don't really believe in the global revolution in that sense. That's Trotskyists. Like for Trotskyism, the idea is to constantly spread the revolution. It's the permanent revolution. It has to keep on going. Communism sorry.
What about Marx calling all for the workers of the world to unite?
He does call for the workers of the world to unite, but the thing is that communism has to set up in certain places, and then the idea it's supposed to serve as an inspiration for others to rise up. There is no concerted effort to cause massive global revolutions. It's supposed to be a domino effect. One country falls to communism, and the rest slowly fall into line. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. This is also because why they say that in Russia. Well, with the fact that it was the first big country where communism was established, it was like something went wrong in in Marx's calculation because for their communists, Russia was barely leaving the feudal stage to go to the capitalist stage, and therefore it couldn't be possible to establish there a communist regime. Right?
It couldn't have been, but it's strange. I mean, there's different theories and all this on this. I mostly did Trotskyism, because I actually believed in the permanent revolution. Yeah, I know.
Don't know nothing about military tactics. And for example, let's imagine that someday a group of Antifa guys decide to start a revolution and they start like building barricades. Don't you think that there will be a group of armed right-wing militias already prepared to beat these guys out?
Maybe, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Also, you have to say that do you think that the National Guard is going to give a shit? I mean, they were going to see these guys and be like, okay, so that's our enemy, a bunch of fat asses and some wait. Why everyone has their color dyed in a funny way? Okay, so we're supposed to fight this guy. No. What you have to do is just show them your weapons, and they were going to surrender.
Yeah, but like I mean, here's the thing though. Like this is the difference between say Stalin and Trotsky, and this is why Stalin lived and Trotsky got an ice pick in the back of the head in Mexico City. And another good reason to visit Mexico City, it's the place that literally kills commies.
Yeah, with a pickaxe to the head.
Oh
By
yes.
a Cuban.
Yeah.
I think he was Cuban, or
He,
well, he went to Cuba.
yeah.
But
But going back to what happened this week. Colombia.
yeah,
Do you remember
with Petro.
Gustavo Petro? Yeah. The Bernie Sanders of Colombia.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
corrupt.
yeah, he is also infamous for disregarding uh, Supreme Court decisions. Um, there was this one really. This one was big when he was the mayor of Bogota. Uh, he prohibited the um, bullfights there in Bogota, but it did people fight the decision in courts and they win, and the Supreme Court of Colombia ordered him to stop to stop his ban, to lift his ban of bullfights, and he said he wouldn't he wouldn't do that by any means.
Oh, so what's the implications of this new scandal? By the way, is he probably going to go to prison?
Maybe he's well. What happened is that at the beginning of this month, on the 6th of December, he was caught in well, another senator from Colombia revealed a video where he was caught receiving uh, a lot of money from God knows who. Or, I mean, this is back in the day. One of the most. This is really sloppy, but like really sloppy. Back in the day, when AMLO was mayor of Mexico City, one of his closest associates, was taped doing the same thing, receiving money for some sort of shakedown. But the thing here is that wasn't implicated at all. Now here, the candidate, the hopeful for the next the next sorry to be a president of Colombia someday. Here he is implicated in a big corruption scandal. Because this guy Gustavo Petro haven't said anything about it. Like he hasn't produced any proof that said it was something like I don't know what. I mean, I don't know what are the this will bring very big implications, because in a country that has been historically right winger like Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that presented himself like a new chance for the left to win there, suddenly I think this has potential to destroy him.
It'll hurt the left in Colombia significantly.
And it will make, and well, what has been happening with the other break scandals, and in Brazil with the Workers' Party.
Yeah,
The left down in South America, it has suffered a lot in its reputation.
it really has. I mean, there's only like really a couple of left-leaning presidents left. I mean, Evo, Maduro, but I mean, like in terms of democratically elected ones, I mean, well, I can't say democratically elected. Vizcarra is appointed president of Peru. He's actually kind of left-wing. They're calling him right-wing now, but it's not true. He's like a center leftist.
Yeah.
Who? Okay.
Martin Vizcarra of Peru.
Oh.
I mean, other than that, they really don't have much left. I mean, Lenin Moreno is all over the place. Like 1 minute he's for the people, next minute he's running away from the Bolivarian community. It's hard to say.
A pragmatist of sorts.
He is, but I mean, like, he has to be, especially after all the business with Correa, who is still in hiding. And I mean, even Alan Garcia is kind of left wing. And Ollanta Humala was. Now Ollanta Humala is going to jail, probably. Alan Garcia is probably going to jail. Alejandro Toledo is kind of left wing. He was really left wing, actually. He's hiding in the United States for some reason.
Yeah, everyone is a left winger until they taste a Big Mac.
yeah. That's the corrupter of the communist spirit. Big Mac burgers. By the way, Brexit. I've been looking into this a lot, and it's not looking good because, you see, they had one chance to get rid of Theresa May and replace her as Prime Minister with somebody who actually was serious about Brexit, someone who actually wanted the UK out, because Theresa May did not. She's a Remainer. She always was.
Yeah.
And so she's gotten her wish because for some reason 200 backbench MPs in the British government voted to keep her as Prime Minister because they thought she was doing a good job. Despite the fact she literally handed the European Union everything. I mean, the implications here on a loss of sovereignty for the United Kingdom are staggering. Because if they delay the Brexit vote, like to actually fully leave, they will try to get them back into the EU. And once you get back in, they're not getting out. The European Union is slowly but surely usurping all the power. I mean, it is taking away national sovereignty that I think no other trade organizations have. Like, I mean, the Andean community, they're not up to this kind of nonsense.
Yeah. And of course, this is something because they have this big problem that the EU is not they will at least the leader countries like Belgium and France and Germany are suddenly looking around and seeing that they have not much allies left. I mean, the left right now in Spain has it's on its last legs because Vox in the last election really did way better than anybody would expect.
A lot, and I want guys to look at me like up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, so by the way, so it's currently Miss Universe going on, and there was one of the contestants, I think it was a Spanish one.
Yeah,
was used
to transgender
be,
woman.
Is a trans woman.
Yes, and you know what's actually funny is that the article I just retweeted it because it's an article by the New York Post, and it says that Miss Universe first transgender contestant rocks the runaway, and they show her on a swimsuit. And then I was like, wait, hold on a second. Didn't swimsuit competitions weren't, I don't know, sexist? But no, they're not. No, because now it's a trans woman doing it. That means that it's now progressive and empowering.
Yes, but
she doesn't look bad. She doesn't look bad. She looks very hot.
Well,
in fact, women, you need to take notice. No women, feminists. When, in fact, there was a guy who said it, and it's not me saying it, but it was other guy saying. They said, "This is the world feminists want. Men are becoming women and are better women than actual women." That was what I read, and I think I can find it.
But guys, really quick, like back to
The
Brexit,
EU.
because this,
Yeah.
well, yeah, this is really important. I mean, this as someone who, I might not live in the United Kingdom, but as a part of her oldest colony, Newfoundland, I take it very seriously what goes on there, and I don't like the EU. If it was just a trade organization, I'd have no problem with it because I mean that's cool. I mean, it's a free trade zone. That's great. That's awesome. Even the free movement, the Schengen area, I can kind of get behind that. That's fine. But this whole thing that they've created, this Leviathan monstrosity in Brussels, is terrifying. I mean, it really is a weird, deformed version of the Holy Roman Empire. I mean, if you think about it, it's true because you have the was it 28 member states as electors.
Yep.
They elect the commission, who in turn selects the president, who you can construe as the Holy Roman Empire because he was technically at the height of it was an elected official.
It was a disaster.
Yeah, and then I mean you have the EU Parliament, which is like the Imperial Diet, which is only a rubber stamp. I mean, it doesn't actually have any real ability or authority. It can't reject legislation. It can only send it back. So it is the Holy Roman Empire. It is as some people have told me, the Fourth Reich. But not in the Hitler-esque sense. It's just in as we look at, say, for example, the Holy Roman, the Carolingian Empire, then the Holy Roman Empire, then that other certain country that I'm not going to say on this channel, but we all know who that Austrian fellow was, and now the EU. I mean, funny thing is, Napoleon could not conquer Europe, but some dude from Luxembourg can.
Yeah.
That's the funnier thing. Some small alcoholic from a tiny, unimportant principality has figured it a way to subsume the sovereignty of 28 member states.
Yeah, and I think that the further we're going, the further the European Union is going to fall, because the Yellow Jackets protests are just spreading like wildfire throughout Europe. And if this is, I think they're harbingers of not the end of the European Union, but they're the end of this idea of the European dream. Because I think that the European Union is going to last for a while. I don't think that the Yellow Jackets now they're going to topple down. What I think they're going to do is that they're going to prove, because they're doing actually, that this idea of the pan-European dream that the European Union leaders have is impossible. I mean, you can't create the United States of Europe because it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it will never exist.
It's also a system that disregards a lot the common people. Like the common people of Europe is sometimes ignored and stepped on either by the EU. It's going. I mean, I'm not sure which countries are having elections next year in Europe. Maybe Spain, because I don't know how much Pedro Sanchez can sustain his actual situation. But there is I mean, there's a lot of Eurosceptics parties right now in power. Italy, Austria, Hungary, Poland, and in the Netherlands they have a healthy portion of the parliament. Mm-hmm. So this is really complicated for them, and you see in places like France, people like Marine Le Pen or AfD in Germany gaining spaces, which these two, Marine Le Pen from the Front National and Alternative for Deutschland, are outright Nazi parties, far-right parties. Sorry. And they are winning spaces. I mean, they should be concerned. I don't like these parties. I I
Same
mean,
here.
yeah, the Alternative for Deutschland started as a umbrella party for many people in the right wing. They've been expelling the most moderate people there, and they have been forming their own party. But now the, this is gonna snowball right into the EU's. I don't think it's next year or the on 2020. But look at what happened. Many people said that when 2016, with all the referendum in Colombia, with Trump, the Brexit, and also the other referendum in Hungary, everybody thought this was going to blow in a big proportion, and yeah, it's blowing. I mean, but there was a few hope for people on the other side, with the victory of Macron in France, but it keeps getting really, really, really the way Trump would like to in Europe and the world. I mean, I don't like AMLO. I don't like his ways. I don't like his ideas. But he's also a populist, or a left-wing populist, if you want. But if, for example, this other question, did you saw that in Belgium the government, one of the member parties of the government of the coalition,
Mhm.
the nationalist party of Flanders, I think, decided that okay, if Belgium signs the migration pact, we're out of the government. So
Ooh.
this is something really bad from that I don't like from European governments, coalition governments, because you denaturalize every single you denaturalize the left from the left. Take out the left from left wing parties and the right from right wing parties. You just have politicians looking to gain power, and
Uh,
you get to these stages of post democracy, as some people call it, where the democratic elected institutions keep gaining space, more power in their respective countries.
hey, Eduardo.
Mm,
So you ask which countries have elections? Well,
in Europe, yeah.
Europe. I'm saying here Europe. I mean, 2019. So Albania, Andorra, not important. There's Belgian federal elections. Belgian, for example, there's the Danish general election, and this will be in the 17th of June 2019. And I'm seeing the ones who hold the majority of seats from the last election. So there's a I think I'm seeing correctly. There's actually an anti-immigration party that is in the that is looking to get more seats. The Danish People's Party, described generally. Let me see this.
The
Described
problem.
generally as a far right party, and also but as a nativist anti-immigration party, and they also anti-Islam and Eurosceptics.
And
If they win, they will be an interesting thing to see. There's also the Greek legislative elections on the 20th of October of 2019, and there's this party that I've seen many times. Have you heard about the Golden Dawn Party?
oh yeah, they're Nazis. They're
Yeah.
literally
Not yet.
Nazis.
They're definite. No, I mean, I've seen their banner. I've seen the shit they do. They are Nazis.
Yeah, yeah.
And for the people who are listening, look, we have this. I think the three of us make a distinction between MAGA hat wearing right wing conservative guy and these guys who actually have a neo-Nazi symbol and who parade around
Flags
like
and torches
praising
and
Leonidas as a hero against the invasion of the East or something. In fact, have you watched the video of the celebration of the Battle of Thermopylae by these guys?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, and I honestly don't want to because I don't want to see more of this weird Greek Nazi Greco like fascist nonsense.
It's oh my god.
But gentlemen, like here's the problem with this, and this is actually partially the left's fault. Well, kind of is that you know how everyone throws around the word fascist nowadays? I mean, they use fascist for everything. If you don't agree with me, you're essentially a fascist.
Yeah. And speaking of which, earlier this week, do you remember what happened in a certain town in Spain where some journalists went out to look for the 44 people that voted for Vox in a outright communist town.
Oh yes, I watched that.
That was a shitty thing to do.
That's
actually really dangerous.
Yeah, and unethical in many levels.
It should be illegal because I mean, like these like if a communist town is generally going to beat the shit out of these people, if not worse.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you know how we're talking about the town of Marinaleda near Sevilla. Well,
yeah.
This you know how people do the elections there.
Yeah.
In public forums by raising hands. So if you don't vote the way the mayor wants, they know who didn't vote like that, and they know who to go after.
Hey,
it's sickening about this.
That's not democracy.
But guys, like back to my point about fascism.
Yep.
Is that the way people nowadays call every even moderately conservative organization, you know, fascist or far right, it allows these fascists, like actual literal anti-Semitic, immigration fascists. Like I'm not against immigration, but I'm against it very controlled. I like it monitored. I like it, restricted to an extent. I mean, we can't take everyone in, just like Mexico or Chile can't.
Yeah.
But the thing is that people...
the three of us are not against migration. We're against this concept of mass migration and unchecked borders.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and the thing, like we're probably like if we look at things, we're all pretty moderate. I mean, except Eduardo who wants to create some kind of like Habsburg Empire in Mexico. But and well, I guess me too, because I literally want to retake Arica and ride the Huascar back to Peru to get my own street named after me. But anyway, the thing is that we're letting actual fascists, like the real bad guys, come in and act with impunity, get involved in these groups, and go, and we're giving them a platform and a voice, because I mean, people are looking for solutions. And I mean, the moderate conservative parties, I mean, they're not perfect, but my God, they're better than Golden Dawn.
Yes.
But I mean, like, it allows these fascists to operate and move a bit quieter, because I mean, like, these people are focused on, say, for example, UKIP. They think UKIP is a far right party. Now, it's getting there. Because I'll tell you this right now, and this is my prediction for the next British election. UKIP is going to accomplish nothing, because they have and the reason is that they gambled on Sargon of Akkad, Paul Joseph Watson, and now Tommy Robinson, and lost. Tommy Robinson is a niche kind of character.
They had a chance.
They had a chance before, but now, I mean, Sargon of Akkad, okay, he's not my favorite character. He's done a few things that are ridiculous. I don't mind him, but politically, I think he's politically stupid, if you want my opinion, because he keeps putting his foot in his mouth. And I mean, look, I've made some rather edgy comments, but I've never said anything even close to what he's done. And like I've said, I mean, we all just do this because it's fun. I mean, we're not really espousing any, far right opinions or hatred. I mean,
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, I'm just saying. But the thing is about Tommy Robinson is that one, he's a convicted fraudster. He's literally been convicted of fraud.
Yep.
And he's just toxic because, I mean, his focus is Islam. He has this strange obsession with Islam. And look, I know there are issues within the Islamic community, especially within the heart. Well, there's hard lines. There's some hardcore problems. I mean, like one Muslim that I like is Imam Tawhidi. I think he's wonderful. He points out the problems in that community, and he approaches it from the Islam through an Islamic ideology, through the lens. Because
I think he has a thing with some far right people that he has endorsed in the past. But I think generally it's funny that he's like the only Muslim I kind of like respect, because I constantly see people like pushing the media, for example, when they push Linda Sarsour as some kind of moderate Muslim. And now everyone knows she's anti-Semitic. So,
I mean, there's also Majid Nawaz out there. He is also moderate Muslim, and he's also fighting for pointing out the hypocrisies and the what is wrong in their community in his community. Granted, he used to be an extremist and went to jail for it, but
at least he stopped.
Yeah, and he recognized what he did wrong about it.
If I can say something about the thing of UKIP, in my opinion, UKIP blew his chance after the Brexit. I think UKIP could have basically gained a foothold on the House of Commons and held it there for a while, but they blew it.
Yeah, they didn't capitalize on their victory.
They didn't capitalize on the victory, and they now bet on e-celebs, basically. And let me tell you something. I used to be a fan of Sargon of Akkad. I still watch it, but it's not like I used to watch it before. Because I think that one of the things I realized about Sargon was the fact that when he comes to politics, he's extremely stupid.
Oh yeah, no, he is.
I think the problem is that this is something that happened with this larger community of people that some people name the skeptic community, which I don't think that ever existed in the first place. That debating non-binary feminists and Tumblrites is just going after some of the easiest targets possible. So I think that the problem with people like Sargon was that they got so accustomed to fight against these kind of enemies that now there is a new class of leftist types who actually know how to make an argument, and they're making way more money than they are doing that right now. And I think the problem that people like Sargon is that he has been caught up in such a problem nowadays, because I keep telling you, I think the biggest problem now is that UKIP never capitalized on the victory on Brexit, and I think Brexit is in tatters. I think there's a very great chance that the Brexit couldn't happen, because no one wanted to admit it. Theresa May was a Remainer. She was and always was a Remainer.
She always will be.
Yeah, because no one thought that someone wanted to wanted the Brexit vote, and I feel sad for the British people, because this is something actually many times I complain about this. How is it that these people don't want that the Parliament, the government doesn't want to acknowledge the will of the British people? The British people said, we don't want to be in the European Union, and they were like, no. okay. They were like,
Well,
oh,
the thing is that what they're doing is they are intentionally subverting the will of the people. The people have said we want a Brexit. Now, 52%. Okay, that's still the majority.
Mhm.
That's still the people's decision. And as I've said on Twitter, you are duty bound to follow through with this. If not, it's a literal death blow to democracy because the government can decide then, listen, we don't have to listen to you little people anymore, even though this referendum was a binding referendum that was supposed to be a once in a lifetime vote. We don't care because we here in the UK, in the government in Westminster, know what's best for you. There was even one MP, David Lammy, who, for a Harvard lawyer, he's an absolute idiot. He comes out and he's like, Britain is no longer, it can no longer stand by itself. It needs the European Union. He got into this big speech. Yeah. He literally said that the European Union was, the way, the only shining way in the darkness. And the funny thing is that the British, shout out to the Britisher, who is,
that's a good guy.
oh, he's my favorite YouTuber. Next
I like
to
his voice.
well, everyone likes his voice, and it's just he's old, so he knows his politics. I mean, he's been around for a while. I mean, I think he's in his 50s. So, I mean, and he knows a lot about British politics. I mean, it seems like something that he's quite accustomed to. So what he was saying was that Britain is still, one of the largest economies in the world. It's got the population to be able to handle this. Now, Brexit is going to hurt, and I've been commenting on it with him on his Twitter. And if anyone's listening, subscribe to the Britisher. He's fantastic. We
should invite him one day.
It is a plan. I don't know if he'll do it. I mean, he is a rather big YouTuber. He's got like 20,000 subs. But we can try.
I mean, you know what should tell him, since he dressed up as a British soldier, I will say, hey, there's a group of brown people here that need civilization.
Oh God. Oh guys, if I'm ever going to be in politics, I'm done. Oh God, because nowadays you can't make jokes.
Yeah.
Well, then again,
I mean,
I'm also Native American, so I'm safe. Bomb drop.
So I think we kind of. Yes.
But like the thing is though, is like he's like just getting back to what he said really quick. Sorry, Eduardo, but he's like, listen, the UK can stand on its own. It has before, and it will again. The people who are going to lose their jobs as impacted by Brexit, we should help them. And honestly, I agree, because it's not their fault they're losing their jobs. There should be some kind of safety net in place to help these people readjust to a changing economy, because the UK economy is going to have to change. There is no other way around it. Because this is how economies are. But you see, they're not, Brexit is not an old, or UK is not an old dog. You can teach this dog new tricks. I said dog. My cat is staring at me with wide eyes in terror. Don't worry. But no, the economy of the United Kingdom can recover. There's different things they can do. It's going to hurt. It's going to take effort, but it is necessary. Excuse me. Salud. But I think that this is a necessary step, because the EU, as we all can agree, is growing in power in a way that is intimidating. It does take away national sovereignty. Certain decisions of, the highest courts of the UK, France, Germany, they can be subsumed, and they are subsumed, and they are now rendered secondary to decisions of the European Court of Justice, which is a blatant disregard of national sovereignty. like I mean, as I mean, I'm sure we can all agree. If you let other nations or other organizations make your laws, I mean, or strike down your laws, I mean, what's the point of having a sovereign government?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But also, I think
it's part of the narrative that, for example, Angela Merkel has been a they the narrative that she has been following and propagating about, maybe it's time to, and the European Union too, and Macron too also, and Justin Trudeau, that maybe we should uh, uh, take some sovereignty from the nation state.
Well,
That's
it is it is terrifying. You can't subsume, this power. You can't take away, that fundamental part of a nation state. The ability to make and keep its own laws. I mean, that's literally the whole point of being a sovereign nation, that you decide your own laws, decide your own future, choose your own leaders. I mean,
exactly.
you can't leave it to these.
that's basically the point of Brexit. The point is like it become like an independence referendum, basically. And
No, it was an independence referendum because you see, the European Union wants to take all that. I mean, like now people are putting the Leave campaign as Project Fear. It's all about scaring these people. It's all about turning them against their immigrant neighbors. Every Polish plumber is out to take your job. Every I don't know, Serbian or Romanian is out to steal your wallet and rob your grandmother. The brown people are coming. Be afraid. Be very afraid. And oh yeah, we're also taking money from the National Health Service.
I've also heard there's some kebab going on right here.
Well, there's a new movie coming out that stars Benedict Cumberbatch. He plays a balding. He plays a balding man, which is actually hilarious to see Benedict Cumberbatch with like a comb over.
Yeah.
But no, like it's supposedly based on a true story, and essentially by the looks of it, it looks like it's a Remainer propaganda piece. I don't like this because they can't seem to understand the concept that people like being able to make their own laws and decide their own futures, and they don't want to leave it to this bunch of people in Brussels who have probably seen the UK from the from the Straits and haven't actually been across, or from the Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, you want the short answer. So I remember a long time ago, Jean-Claude Junckers, that old dinosaur, he said that Britain wanting to leave the EU is like a group. It's like someone goes to buy a couple of beers to his friends, and then they want you to pay the tip, or I think it was something like that. And the funny thing is that the analogy of the beer for many people didn't make sense, because I'm watching one of Sarga's videos, and one of the comments said, Jean-Claude Juncker doesn't seem to me like the kind of guy who will take a few beers and watch a football game with the common man. He seems like the guy who goes to the Alps and chucks champagne while going to ski. And I think that's the thing with the European Union leaders. These guys don't know nothing how these countries work. I mean, are you telling me that the people who live in Brussels, and I bet that they never get out of Belgium in their lives, are going to make the rules for like 28 countries?
yeah, this is something that I don't know all other countries in the European Union, but in this case the principal countries of the EU, thinking of France and Germany and England, they don't really know what is to have, what is to their country in their time, spilling their blood, sacrificing their lives for the independence of that country. I mean, in Chile, in the case of Pablo, there was Jose de San Martin and Bernardo O'Higgins, Miguel Hidalgo and Agustín de Iturbide and Vicente Guerrero in Mexico.
There was
Just to name.
There was Mariscal Sucre, Simon Bolivar. I mean, there was even Tupac Amaru Dos. I mean,
not Tupac, the Tupac Amaru, because some people might think like Tupac.
But I mean, like that's one thing I've noticed. I mean, as someone who travels, to South America a fair bit. I mean, you got and I'll include Eduardo in this generalization. Don't get too offended. But like Latinos, they appreciate their independence. They love it. I mean, like you go down to Peru. They're proud to be Peruvian. They don't want to be like They don't say to me like, I wish like we're all one community. We're all brothers and sisters. They're like, I'm Peruvian. Frig you. No, this is my shit.
Yeah, and because the countries now in Latin America, for putting it figuratively, were born in a bloodbath.
Yep.
They fight for their freedom. I mean, how did Germany?
I said it one day. There is no way that a revolution can be carried out without blood.
Yay! Canada kind of got away with this. We just asked politely.
There were exceptions, I know, but for example, in this going back to the EU countries, how did Germany was born after they beat France in a war? England, how was it born? They after some Norman noble invaded the Saxon kingdom that was recently unified.
You think about well for that. Let's even look a bit further. I mean, when the Danes controlled England, and Alfred the Great drove them back to an extent, and then I mean after that, Newt the Great came in charge, but that's another story. They still got their independence back.
Yeah, and they did know what is to fight for their land. I mean, there is some fight in the British down there. We saw it with Brexit that they still have some fight in them. But for example, France, how was it formed? Charlemagne beating all of the other reigns around them.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Clovis? I think it was Clovis before Charlemagne.
No, Charlemagne, and there was a Merovingian king because Charlemagne deposed him and then made him go live in a monastery and killed him.
Yeah, and this is something to take into consideration. For example, Belgium also. It was formed taking one part of the Netherlands, another part of France, and forming a buffer kingdom in between the German states and France.
Guys, quick news. Club America has scored against Cruz Azul. Apparently it is, by the look of it, Edson has scored. Edson Alvarez. Break your leg, please. I need Cruz Azul to win. I make it better quickly.
Also, the thing about this is a news that is mostly local in my area, but I still wanted to share it because I think it's important. So there's a strike going on recently of the workers at the docks, because as many people know, I live in Viña del Mar, but I study in Valparaíso, which is the next city. In Valparaíso, it's one of the main docks of Chile. Although mostly people now go to San Antonio, which is further south. But what is going on is that there is being a strike by the workers of the docks. They want better pay, they want better working conditions. What is actually funny is that these are not the workers who regularly work at the docks. These are not like the guys who have a contract. These are temporary they're like contratistas, as we call them. They're not from the company they're not from the company that operates the docks. They're from other private companies.
They're
And
scam. They're contractors.
Yeah, they start building quite a ruckus, and it's funny because every time I go to my uni, which is in Playa Ancha, there's this how I say this, there's this guy starting a small plaza in front of the old aduana, and surrounding them there's carabineros in riot gear, and many times they've actually start to pick fights with carabineros, throwing stones. Carabineros fires with the water guns, and then with they throw them tear gas. Oh, and yes, I would tell you that my government is gassing civilians. We're throwing tear gas.
As is your right.
Yeah, as is your right. I still find that ridiculous. I mean, using tear gas is the same as gassing Jews. That's ridiculous. But anyway, so the funny thing is that these guys, despite the fact that they have no like legal leg to stand on, because they're not like they're contractors. They're not like regular workers. They've been supported by many student organizations and many other LGBT and worker union organizations, blah 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 blah, including people from my own uni. And the funniest thing is that there is yes. So the easy thing is that in the strip of street where is Plaza Sotomayor, there is another uni, the PUCB, which is the Universidad de Valparaíso, another university. Students of that university are actually supporting the protests, and they're actually throwing rocks and all kinds of things to the police while they're trying to arrest the contractors. And I watched it because it was a hilarious video. There was this guy who was recording from his apartment, and he was saying, "This is the future of Chile." And those were the students of the building of law school. And I was thinking, this is the future. Also, this is the future of Chile. This is the future lawyers of Chile. Guys who are attacking police on the street. But anyway, these guys, the contractors, have said that they're willing to go and to keep the protests until Christmas and even further to New Year's Eve, and they're planning to boycott the fireworks festival that take place every New Year here in the port.
Hopefully, it gets resolved quickly, because these kinds of things are ridiculously troublesome. Canada just had.
In fact, the mayor, Jorge Sharp, who is a populist cunt. I mean, Sharp was chosen not because he was the best guy for the job, because he was young, and because he's young, everyone say, "Oh, young and new," and he hasn't been able to control these guys. But it's not that he hasn't tried; is that he doesn't want to do it, because he knows that if he does something wrong, he's gonna get blamed by his predominantly leftist base. So now he's asking the president to intercede in this problem, and the problem is that this goes beyond the president area of influence. I mean, do you think these workers are going to listen to the president, even though they're rioting and throwing stones at the police every time they can? No. They're not going to do that.
He's 33 years old, and he's the president of a city with nearly like 1 million people in the metropolitan area.
Shut up. Yes.
What the heck? Why do I think about Richard Sharp when I see, like, from Sharp's Rifles? You guys ever seen that series?
Yeah, but
I've some books of it.
A Sharp. I'm coming for you, Sharpie.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And also, one of the funniest things, he's part of the Movimiento Autonomista. The Movimiento Autonomista, whose symbol is basically Latin America upside down, because it starts with this ridiculous idea that if we were up north, we would be more advanced, which is...
Oh my God, why does everyone think that? I keep hearing about this global north nonsense, and it doesn't make any sense. We're gonna have to talk. Actually, you know what? I think our first episode of the new year should be about the global north, and things like that. Because I really think that next season, like our next year's episode in a couple of like a month, within the next month, it is going to be like a whole new
Six
way
of
of doing things.
6 of January.
Yeah, that can be our
Was-
tentative date. We'll
was-
have to double check.
Of course.
But-
If I can say something to wrap that up, it's just that I hate this idea that because I've met people who actually believe this shit that they tell me that no, I forgot to tell you. So the son of Bolsonaro actually visited Chile, and
Oh, thank
he's
God.
Yeah, I heard he was, like in some sort of tour throughout the region in among other things, asking for opinions about what to do with Maduro.
Yeah, and also one of the things he said was, and this was the last thing I'm going to say, he said that we as Chileans were lucky to have the Chicago Boys. For those of you who don't, the Chicago Boys were a group of Chilean economists educated in Chicago. They were the architects of the neoliberal economy of the military dictatorship. And the fact is that it's funny that Bolsonaro says that because, in the history of Brazil, they never had someone like them. But then I started thinking, I mean, for Chile to improve economically, we needed like 3,000 people dead and a lot of more missing. And honestly, I'm not in a position to say, well, that was a fair exchange. Hell no.
Yeah, I mean, here in Mexico we had also some of technocrats that went to study in Chicago and other universities in the United States. I don't want. It's not a situation comparable to that of Chile and Pinochet, but it really is a. I mean, it's a way to think different that things were going here in Latin America, and it's it's I mean there has been a mixed baggage of results, but let's see what the future departs us. Then for that and for us to see that, I think we shall go out and live in the real world. So
And also I this is something like wrap it up. I thank you guys for letting me be part of this, and I hope that next year is full of new amazing stories to share. And well, this year isn't over, so I feel that there will be something interesting to talk about once the year is over. I feel there's something.
There always is. There's always some stupidity that happened in the world that we'll need to talk about and then lament. And honestly, it's been awesome working with you guys this year. So I mean, honestly, we got to say thank you to Llama because she did make this possible. So if you're out there, Llama, somehow, some way watching or listening, or you sense it in the the atmosphere, like the force, the mitochondrials. Thank
she's
you.
watching Miss Universe, I think.
I imagine she is.
Yeah.
We love you, Llama.
Everyone loves Llama, our cafecita. But next year, guys, is going to be better. We're gonna redo the format. We're going to get everything a lot better. We're going to get a few more of those guests on. I'd like to get Giomara back on again. She was awesome.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people that we would like to talk about and to talk to here. And of course, If you have any suggestion, guys, or anything, please let us know on Twitter and in our Discord. Both the Twitter handle and the link to our Discord is down there in the description of the video. And hope you like what we have been doing so far. Subscribe and follow us, and stay tuned for what is to come.
It is. So, with that, guys, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Happy New Year when it happens. And we will see you guys next year.
Of course.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Merry Christmas. Good night.